Hello, so I'll be providing a full walkthrough on how the campfire works on this video. So first off, here's the campfire. You will craft it from some wood and some sticks. And I'll go ahead and place it. Now, as far as placing the campfire, it's on any sort of full solid node. So I can place it on here, for example. You wouldn't be able to place it like on the side of nodes or anything, or like on the top. So I've made sure it's restricted in that way. Also, if there's any solid node with kind of like air gaps above it, so for example, if I were to put in campfire, notice how it's not a full node and there's like a gap of air above it, you wouldn't be able to place another campfire on top. So if I were to point on the space above, it'll just drop the campfire ingredients. So that's how that works. All right, now let's actually go into the campfire here. So it's got several slots. The first one I'll talk about is the ingredient slot. So you could pretty much put anything in there. It's just that it's only if it's a burnable type of item, something that's flammable or cookable, that it will actually do anything. Like if you were to put something like dirt or stone in there that's not flammable, it'll just sit there and nothing will happen. Now, as you can see, the ingredient slot can only accept one quantity of a stack. So if I were to put in that a stack of items, it'll only pull out one at a time. And so that's how that works. Okay, now as far as the fuel slot, so that one's down here. This is where you would put any sort of flammable items to act as extra fuel for the campfire. Now, the indicator here, you'll see there's two numbers. There's a left one and a right number. The number on the right represents how many seconds of burn time that the campfire will be able to go before it just runs out and becomes spent. 10 is just a demo kind of number. It's usually, I would have it will be set for about 280 seconds, which better represents the burn time of all the wood and the sticks that's used for the campfire. But for now, you can see that since there's no items in the fuel slots, this just indicates 0. So the item on the left is more or less how many extra fuel that's queued up in the fuel slot. So for example, if I were to put a piece of wood, that'll provide 60 seconds of fuel. Now you can tell when you're in your main ingredient, in your main inventory area, you can see how much burn time each fuel can provide for you. So you can throw in tools or pretty much anything, even other campfires. And you can see how much fuel it'll provide you within that fuel slot. Like so. And that's where this number comes from. If we were to put 2, so the fuel slots, you can put multiple. So now we've got 120, 180, and so forth. Now there is a maximum. You can't put a full stack in there. It's going to be limited by this number, which is the weight maximum of the fuel. You can only put 50 units of weight of the fuel in there. And weight as well can be found out within the info panel here, and that's here, 8.6. So there's a corresponding weight for every item that you put in there. And so in this case, if we try to put in a full stack, the campfire will only accept up to the max that it can take. So in this case, 43, because if we put another one, that'll take it over 50. So it'll only take 5 for now, which reaches the max of the fuel. Now for the burn time, that does give us 300 seconds worth. And so that's how that works. Okay, now before we actually start lighting up the fire, we need to talk about this slot, which is for the fire starter type items. So that's going to be an actual item that you use to start the flame. So for example, a fire drill, a tool that you kind of rub between your fingers and up against some sticks and like a piece of wood at the bottom to generate a spark, or a book of matches, or like flint and steel, you would put that item within here. So let's go ahead and craft one. So we have the fire drill, and these are the ingredients required for that. We'll just craft one, and you can see the description for that. So we'll throw that in there. Now, any fire starting type item that we put in there, each time that we attempt to light a fire with it, it'll it has its own wear, so it'll start wearing down. And when we attempt to light the fire, it's not 100% success rate. Each player maintains their own success rate as far as trying to light fires with like a fire drill or a book of matches. So for example, if I were to click on this, it may or may not work. So in this case, it did work. So the fire got lit. You can see the actual fuel item. So it pulled one of the wood out of the stack, and that's what's currently burning. And the number represents, of course, the total that's remaining, what's in the fuel slot. So let's see if we can get it to fail here. There it goes. So it failed. And as it fails, it also still uses up the usability, or it wears out the tool. And of course, if it wears out all the way down, it'll get destroyed. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. It's going to stop it. And so, each tool has a limited amount of uses. Looks like we have one more. Oh, there you go. See, that failed. And now we can't light the fire unless we craft another one. And we'll throw that in there. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, as you can see, as the fire is going down, so I pulled out the prior 4, so it's just burning that first piece of wood there. As that drains down, we can see there's 20 seconds left of that fuel item being burnt. We can throw in a piece of stick afterwards, and you can see that it just pulls in whatever's the next item in the slot. So if we put a stack, it'll just pull one out there. There you go. And at any time, we can always pull items out from the fuel slot. It's just whatever it's currently burning is what it wants to do. Now, if we were to pull it out and let it drain fully, and I can show you how the campfire gets spent. So it'll use up this fuel. Now it's starting to eat up into the actual core fuel of the campfire itself. And again, typically it should be 280, but this for demo purposes. And you can see the campfire gets spent. And from here, the fuel slots are gone. You can't add more fuel, and you can't light it again. You only have the option to rebuild the campfire. And when you click on that, it'll pull the usual 4 pieces of wood and the 4 sticks. So if you click on that, and there that goes. And then we've got kind of fresh campfire again. And so we can go ahead and try to light it. And there it goes. And of course, we can throw in fuel after the fact, and it'll start burning. Okay, now we have the remaining 2 slots, which are the campfire stand and campfire grill. So these are the campfire tools that you can use to increase the capability of the campfire. So let's go ahead and craft those. So we'll craft 1. Actually, we'll craft 3 or 2. Let's do 2. There they are right here. Of course, since they're made of wood, it can also be used as fuel. And let's go and throw that in. You can only put 1 quantity at a time. So if we attempt to put in more, it'll just take 1. And as you can see, what it does is that it provides an extra ingredient slot and an extra fuel slot. If we put same thing with the grill, but the thing is, if you put the second tool in there, it'll then give you an extra ingredient slot. You will only get max 2 fuel slots as far as the bonus for using the tools, but you can have up to 3 ingredient slots. Now, let's go ahead and light that up, and I can show you how that works. There it goes. And like with the fire starting type of items, this can also be worn down. And as for example, the campfire grill, it'll wear out first. And once that wears out, it'll remove any bonus slots that came with it. So for example, it'll eliminate this ingredient slot. And there you can see it's gone. And let's demonstrate that again this time. And you can see it also drops a piece of coal, because when you burn up a a wooden item like the campfire stand, it'll drop a piece of coal. Same thing with here when this burns out. But let's create another grill. Oh, well, I already had one, of course. And this time, let's say if we wanted to, we'll just put in, I mean, it won't get burnt, but we'll just put in, well, something that's easier to see. We'll just do the dirt there. So what I want to demonstrate is when either the stand or one of the bonus slots, when it gets removed, you can see that this item appropriately just drops to the ground. Put this apple in here too. There you go. And here's the stand. Looks like the stand's going to go first. And there it took the, oh, and there goes the grill as well. So it took the other remaining slots as well. And you can see the items are appropriately dropped here. And as you can see with my previous item drop bag video, a bag was created and then all the items are just getting absorbed into the bag. That way any dropped items don't get despawned. And just as an aside, of course, as a reminder, the bags actually, just for demonstration purposes, this spawn in like 10 seconds. Normally, I would have it set for 5 minutes or like 300 seconds. All right, so that's how the slots work. So again, it simply gives you more slots and fuel slots and ingredient slots. It also does actually increase the maximum amount of fuel you can throw in there. So if you notice that, the max is 50 initially, but then it will increase it to 75 if you have at least one in there. So that means I can put in, say, more than 5, you know, up to the added maximum weight that it can take. So that's a benefit as well. Okay, so that's how that works. And all right, now as far as actual cooking, so we'll go ahead and start cooking items. So for example, the apple. So you can see it's getting heat up, and then it becomes the result of its cooking. Now it will continue to heat up and actually turn into ash as well. So you want to make sure that you pull the items out from the slots before they get burnt. The apples seem to be cooking quite quick, and that's just for demonstration purposes as well, because normally it would take about 3 or 4 times longer to cook, but just for the to keep the video short, I've upped the burning speed. Now again, anything can be burned or cooked as long as it's, you know, something that's flammable. So like for example, wood can be cooked. Oh, and you can see my tools are getting burnt as it goes. And so now it turns into charcoal. That's not really burnable, so it just kind of sits there and does nothing. And same thing with ash. When things turn to ash, that doesn't progress any further. But you know, any type of wooded items, it'll start burning, and so that's how that works. You know, you can put tools, anything that's logically flammable will get burned. Tools like this, if you were to start burning them and heating them up, they will no longer be usable as an actual tool. So if I were to give the ingredients, it's burned and unusable, you wouldn't be able to use it, as you won't get the normal bonus as far as a normal shovel goes. Now, to demonstrate experience gain, so players will gain experience whenever the item is cooked, so after it's cooked. So if you take a look here, the experience, you can see it bump up a little bit. There it goes. And as it turns into ash, it'll bump up again. There it goes. I'll do it one more time here. Now, of course, if you stop the cooking before it actually completes, you won't get that experience. But we'll light it. And you'll see the experience gain. Now you don't have to be staring at the actual campfire to get that experience. So let's say if we throw a stick in there and that's cooking, give it a few seconds. Now we'll go ahead and look away, and if you take a look at the experience, it'll bump up here. There you go. You can see the experience bumps up as it's finally cooked. All right, now digging up the campfire, what happens? Well, any items that are in these slots are dropped as well, so you don't really lose anything. It also drops the main ingredients that composes the actual campfire itself. In this case, the campfire has been used, so it'll drop, instead of a brand new campfire, which is made from 4 pieces of wood and 4 sticks. If we were to dig up this campfire, you'll get some like heated up pieces of wood, some charcoal, some burnt sticks, and stuff that makes logical sense, in addition to what's inside the ingredient slots and fuel slots and such. So for example, if I were to put this in here just for demonstration purposes, we'll put the sticks in here, and then we were to break it, and you can see those items in there. So you've got the apple, some charcoal, burnt wood, and the fire drill are all in there. And there's your bag. You can see that once again. So a burnt or used campfire will release, some burnt kind of used pieces of wood, including what's inside all the slots. So let's go ahead and demonstrate with the new one. So this is new. There's nothing in there. And if we're to chop that up, all you just get is the bare unused ingredients that were initially used to craft it. Now, a campfire that's spent, let's go ahead and we'll need to steal the fire drill from here. And we'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Oh, looks like I used that up. Let's go ahead and make another fire drill. There we go. Took a couple tries, but let's see. So now we've got the core fuel being burned up here. There it goes. And instead of any usable wood, it drops charcoal and ash, of course, since a spent campfire doesn't have any more usable wood. And there's the fire drill that we had in that slot. All right. Now, as you can see, the campfire does heat up and affect other adjacent nodes. So if we were to, it actually cooks whatever is around it. So anything directly above or below the campfire, as well as directly beside it or adjacent, it'll affect it. So for example, if I were to start this going, grab our fire drill and start it up. All right, so in a few seconds you'll see the snow being burnt out from the nodes here. There it goes, and there it goes. And so you want to really be careful where you place the campfire. So for example, if we were to place a campfire on top of the tree, you'll see what happens here. So we'll demonstrate that. Let's place it over here. This will be fun. Okay. So let's say if we place a campfire right here, light it up. Let's see, I'm gonna need another one of these. We'll just throw one. That's all we need to demonstrate that. Come on. Yeah. All right. There it goes. And as you can see, what happened is that it burnt through the leaves below it and it dropped. And of course, you don't really lose any of the items. You just got to pick it all up again. So there's all the stuff. There's my fire drill. And you also want to be careful what's on top of the campfire. So if there was a snow block, let's say if we put the campfire below the leaves, and if the snow falls on top of the campfire, it's going to put out the campfire as well. So so you want to be careful, especially if like you're in a biome with a lot of ice and snow blocks, that you try not to place a campfire right below one of those blocks. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Let's get some dirt here. So we've got snow above there. Let's put the campfire here. There we go. And there we go. So the snow fell, got melted, and it kind of put out the fire, dropping everything. So that's how that works. All right, now I'll demonstrate that again. I'm gonna hop onto another biome because if you were to place a campfire next to some vegetation or like, for example, mushrooms or anything that's edible, it'll actually end up cooking those items as well. So it's kind of like an indirect way to cook items as well, but being indirect, it takes a lot longer, but I'll show you that here. So I'm going to switch biomes 1 second. All right, so here we are. We're at a nice forest biome with some mushrooms. We're going to place down a campfire, say right here. Okay, let's throw this guy in there. That should be fine. Oop. Keep trying. Keep trying. Getting exhausted. Takes a lot of work trying to get it going. All right, there we go. And there we are. So from that mushroom, we got a red mushroom that's dried. So if we go ahead and consume it, there we go. And this should also work if I were to throw an apple in here. That should indirectly cook the apple. It'll take a little longer than if we were to throw it right on the flames. There it goes. And so we've got dried apple. Woohoo. So of course I'll go ahead and rebuild. Oh, I don't have ingredients. We'll just cheat and throw in another campfire. Alright, so let's see if we could find some. We've got a brown mushroom next to some grass. There you go. So any nodes that are that are surrounding it will be impacted by its heat. So throw this in here. We'll do the used one. That should be fine. There we go. There it goes. And we've got ashes for the grass. And let's do this. We'll toss in some more wood. And yeah, and as you can see, if we were just throwing it directly on the flames, it cooks a lot faster. But if we were to throw it beside, it takes a little longer. But I mean, it's a indirect way of cooking things. Or at least anything that can be placeable as a node. There we go. All right, now what happens if you were to leave the area with the campfire still on, and after a while you come back, and what happens is that the campfire remembers all that elapsed time and applies it to all the items that are in the ingredient slot, and it makes sure that the appropriate amount of time does run through for the fuel and for the tool wear. And so I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. So I'll just put a book of matches here, and let's see, we'll put that there. And so what should happen, we'll hang around for about 30 seconds. I'll teleport somewhere and we'll let the campfire run. We should come back and see a spent campfire and say like a piece of ash that's left over from the apple. So we'll go ahead and start it up. Okay, and go ahead and teleport. There we go. All right, we'll go to a few seconds, and we'll cut the video so you don't have to wait for it all. All right, so that should be enough time. We'll go ahead and teleport back. And there we are. So we have a spent campfire, and all we've got is a piece of ash. So that's pretty much how that works. And that should be everything that there is that I have to share at this point for how the campfire works. So I hope you guys like what you see. I think my next line of business at this point is to start working on a mob or two to get that going. Now I may actually release a playable test version of everything next. May not even care to put in the mobs yet, just so that everybody can test out and experiment with what I've got so far. So I may just do that. So hope you like what you see. Any comments and questions? Love to hear from you guys, and thank you. Have a good day.